Item 24, the electricity procurement. Is Bruce?
Bruce is here.
He was here.
He was here.
Okay, let's go to car parking at the hospital. So who wants to come up and do that? Aaron?
Happy to move option 5.
And Tyrone will second it. Yep. And then, yep. So that's been moved so moved by Aaron, seconded by Tyrone. We'll get an intro from the team, and then Sarah's got a question.
Yeah. Hello. So the report to council last week was deferred for a decision to the committee here today, because more information was required on trialling a clearway along Hagley Avenue on the north side. The clearway would run from 7:30 a.m. in the morning to 7:30 p.m. in the evening. This would allow for parking in that area overnight, and that would be free parking as well. We've also looked at, or we've discussed with the hospital, the staff shift changes. These are quite complicated given that there's over 6,000 staff and there's lots of different roles. However, they've said that the main handover periods are the morning to afternoon change between 2 and 5 o'clock, the night shift to morning change between 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m, and the afternoon shift change basically from 11:30 at night to midnight. So those are the main shifts. They have also said the biggest impact, also the biggest demand for parking is usually between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So this clearway will only be providing parking at night time. So we have some amended...
Steps.
Oh, sorry, yes, the next steps. So what we would be able to do is that we will undertake pre-engagement, similar to the engagement we undertook for the 2-week trial back in October, November last year, which would include a memo to all elected members, a newsline story, social media update, emails to St John and to Fata Ora, and information emails sent to the rest of the stakeholders, and internal comms updated on the hub, so everybody be aware of the trial for the 6 months. And then if this is approved today, we would undertake that to commence in the trial to commence in early February for 6 months.
Thank you for that. Sarah had a question.
Yeah, 2 questions now. So the shift changes. So what we don't want to do is to clog up that morning traffic. Does that mean that people who are sort of working overnight at the hospital, shift workers, who maybe come in for a sort of an 11 o'clock shift, may not actually be out in time to shift their cars ahead of the rush hour? Is that what that means? Because if so, that's an issue with a clash on timings.
Yeah. So the morning shift change is between 6:30 and 8, so it's still going to capture the majority of that shift change.
Okay. Well, no, because it's 7 o'clock, so it's
7:30. Sorry, councillor.
Oh, 7:30, not 8.
Yes.
So it's about half. Did you say 6 till 7:30 or 6:30 till 8?
Sorry,
That's what you said.
Sorry, the shift change is 6:30 till 8, and we're proposing the clearway finishes at 7:30.
Oh, it's 7:30.
Yes.
Okay, because it was 7 till 7 originally.
It was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And will that keep us out of the morning rush?
It will do, yes.
Okay. And the other thing is, somewhere in the report, I'm just trying to find it again, it did say that option 5 would require consultation, but you've just mentioned engagement rather than consultation. So is it proper consultation, or is it just some engagement with those stakeholders? It's
engagement for the trial.
Yeah.
Post-trial, when we come to ask for a decision to make,
or
to do something permanent, that's when we would do formal consultation.
Great. Thank you. And your feedback that the information from those stakeholders?
Yes.
So what happens if the stakeholders come back and go, oh, no thanks? I mean, we've already approved it.
So,
I mean, you'd have already approved it, but it is a trial, and we can terminate a trial quite easily. So if we needed to, we could bring it back to you and ask you to cancel it if you chose to, based on the feedback.
Okay, because reports to us take, 6 weeks.
Yep.
But you could send a memo through saying, listen, we're going to pause it for a bit or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So issues with overstayers.
Sorry, Mel and then Pauline.
So for the trial, is there any cost? Sorry, have we?
10,000.
Sorry,
Yeah, it'd be about $10,000.
10,000, right?
Pauline?
Yeah, just on page 31, I mean, there's considerable disadvantages with option 5, and I'd like to foreshadow the staff recommendation.
Yep.
Option 4. And one of them includes the bottom bullet point, the implementation costs would need to allow for a new footpath along Riccarton Avenue. Is that only if it went in permanently, or is that for the trial?
No, so when we discussed last week that the trial is only on the Hagley Avenue section, it's
Yep.
not on the Riccarton Avenue section,
So that
which is where we'd need the footpath.
Okay, so that doesn't apply to option 5 then.
And then the other issues were, it's just a nighttime trial. So overstayers would be if they were in the morning, would be less of an issue because the main issue is in the peak in the evening.
Oh, okay, so you've taken that off on Riccarton Ave. And but the other risk, which were if there is a vehicle left in the clearway, there is a risk of accidents if cars are merging really suddenly, and they don't. That still exists.
It will do, yes.
Yeah.
Aaron. Thanks.
Yeah, just with the timing of the implementation, given it's only a trial and the engagement is literally all of those people could be emailed in a day, why do we have to wait till February to implement? Can we not do it quicker?
Well, we have to get the contractors to make the signs as
Right.
well and implement the signs.
They take a while, do they?
So, given that we've got the Christmas break, we're suggesting that we do this early February because that gives us time to put the order in and get
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I guess the country will have returned to normal. The city will have returned to normal by then, so that's good.
No
Okay, Yanni.
Thank you. I was just interested if we were considering anything in terms of overnight parking at Parikori, when we'll have a massive car park there that won't be getting much use. Do we know if there's been any discussions with the hospital about
That
using
might be
after
might be a
hours?
Nigel question, perhaps.
In terms of, as Craig mentioned yesterday, we haven't had discussions with the hospital around it yet, but it will be available and we need to have those discussions.
Right. Okay. I think that would
Cool.
be good.
Okay, so just noting we've got the foreshadowed one, which is option 4, Pauline. Yep, cool. So do we want to debate it? No. So, Aaron. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, it would be great if we supported this unanimously, because all we're doing here is a trial for 6 months to create a small amount of parking for overnight. It'll be used from 7:30 p.m. through to around, there's a 10 o'clock where they really start to push visitors out the hospital. But for, parents going into NICU, people who have got family members with not much long left, they will be able to spend time with them easier. I mean, this doesn't solve all the problems, but it does help. I can guarantee these parks will be used all the time. And then later at night, the nurses can use it, or other staff that work at the hospital have got the option to use parking that's literally straight across the road. So this makes sense. For anyone that has concerns about cars being left in the lane, there's no peak flow of traffic in the morning coming out of town down there. There is traffic, but it's the busy time for there is later in the afternoon, so you've actually got hours to go down and tow the people if they need to be towed. So yeah, the problems are minuscule. It's worth a trial to create and alleviate an issue which can be extremely stressful for people who are using the hospital. And yes, there is a parking building across the road, but not everyone going into the hospital is flush with cash to pay the amount you've got to pay to park in there. So let's think of those people that want to use this.
I'm also happy to support. It goes against the staff recommendation, which is fine because it's just a recommendation. It goes against the bulk of the feedback, but that's okay because we can consider multiple views on things. It does cost a little bit of money, but that's okay because we assess costs and benefits for the city. I don't know what their local councillor thinks that he's looking at for his residents and we're looking at for ours. But I just like to apply analysis and logic to this problem, and it seems reasonable to remove the clearway because there's no constraint, as it appears to me, overnight. And we're giving it a crack, as my colleague Councillor Kewen says, we're giving it a crack, and if it doesn't work, then hopefully that's the end of the tinkering and we can move on. But it will be helpful, hopefully, to people who need it, and that's why I'm supporting it.
Okay, so let's put that motion. So just noting there is a foreshadowed. So all in favour? Against? Yep, so Mel and Pauline, and you will note that. Yep. Cool, that's carried. Thank you. Thank you to the team. Bruce, you're up. And this has been moved by the Mayor and seconded by the Deputy Mayor as well.